Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about Shallot, and there was nothing really tied particularly to Shallot for part 3 of the 7th anniversary, except for one very, very small instance that I think actually could be pretty significant. But if we go over and head to the news tab and we look at the World Championship tab, you'll notice there is new art there for Shallot. Now, why do I think this is even relevant to talk about? The style of the art is very reminiscent of card art. Now, do I think this is going to become the new Shallot art, or we're going to get some kind of upgrade for Shallot? I don't know, but they are doing something right now when it comes to the story mode. So for those of you who have not kept up with the story mode, or maybe you haven't played through all of the available story stages, right now, if you go to the most recent story stage, the Final Battles Fuse ignites. We have, dude, 17 parts to the story. Look how long this is. Look how long this is. But yeah, we open up the most recent part. We have brutal rematches, terrifying blasts from the past. This is the current raid event that is ongoing. So essentially, we can click into this, and essentially what happens is it plays a cutscene. I guess, spoiler alert. If you don't want to get spoiled on the story, I guess click off, but I'm assuming that people have either played through this or don't really care that much. What happens is Zaha has kind of removed Shallot's ability to transform into his forms, and he sets him back into fighting a lot of the enemies that he's fought in prior parts. So we have Shallot went Super Saiyan for the first time when he fought Frieza. We have to go back and fight Frieza with Dark Ki this time. Shallot goes back to fight Cell when he got Super Saiyan 2 for the first time to fight Cell with Dark Ki. And then he goes back to fight Majin Buu as a Super Saiyan 3 for the first time. So he's unable to go further than all of the transformations that he had accessible to him at that point in time during the story mode. So if you go over to the recommended tab, this is the current event that is playing, the terrifying blast from the past, or whatever it's called. So we've already done the Frieza leg of this. We've done the Cell leg of this, and we are currently going through the Majin Buu leg of this. I think people are kind of burnt out on this because it's going a little bit slower than the other parts, the Buu raid is. But I already did a video talking about this event. This event is very good. You can essentially just farm unlimited Z power from this. It's insane. You get a lot of slot removers. You get a lot of like fragment metals, soul metals. Like, this is a sick event. And when it comes to talk about the anniversary overall, like how good was the 7th anniversary, this is going to be a major factor that I talk about and bring up, because this is a really crazy event. You can just farm unlimited Z power here. But there are developments for the story in this event. And if you guys remember back, I believe it was the first Legends information for part 1 of the anniversary, Tani did make a comment saying that there is going to be quite a big story development in this anniversary. So I think what's going to happen is after we go through this event, and they've never done this before where they've tied a raid into the actual main story of the game, there should be quite a big development in the story. Whether it means they're going to conclude this part of the story, or they're going to be, doing something with Shallot. Is he going to get a new form? I've seen a lot of people speculate maybe Shallot can get Super Saiyan 4 at the end of this, right? They kind of removed his god forms, and now he's got to go through Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 2, and Super Saiyan 3. Well, what is the next natural step is Super Saiyan 4. So I think it is at least a possibility. It's on the table at least that he could get Super Saiyan 4. I mean, right now Shallot has Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, God, and Blue. So there are a few paths we can go down from here. I mean, there's a lot. Dragon Ball at this point in 2025 has got a lot of transformations. We can do Blue Kaioken. We can do UI Sign. We can do Mastered UI. We could do Beast. We could do Rose. Shallot Rose. Can you imagine that? But yeah, there's a lot they could do with Shallot forms, right? It doesn't necessarily have to follow the main path of like all these transformations. They could do branches. Majin Shallot. Like, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But they could also go down the Super Saiyan 4 path, the GT path, right? So that's a different thing they could do. They could do Daima Super Saiyan 4, maybe. But yeah, there's a lot of transformations that exist in Dragon Ball. They notoriously have gone pretty slow when it comes to giving Shallot new forms. The last time we got a new form for Shallot, I believe it was before the 5th anniversary. It was right before the 5th anniversary, because that's right when they gave Shallot his upgrade to sparking, was right before the 5th anniversary. That was 2023, over 2 years ago, is when Shallot was able to be upgraded from hero to sparking, and I think that's right when he got blue as well. So 2 years in between forms is quite a long time. So I think this is a good time to fit in a new one. And another thing that I've seen people talking about as well is, what if Shallot becomes an Ultra? And that really is where I think there's a decently high possibility that this art could come into play here if we go back here. This art, I mean, if you've been playing the game for long enough, you can kind of tell by the style of the art what is card art and what isn't card art. Give me a second, actually. I'm going to restart the game. Actually, can I go back to title screen just from like the menu here? Let's see, return to title. Here we go. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, you guys saw that Shallot art. Here is the Frieza and Goku art from the title screen. Like, you can look at this and instantly tell that this is not card art. It's just the way the shading is on the characters, the style of the characters. You can look at this and you will instantly know, if you're familiar with the art in this game, that those are not card arts. But if we go back and take a look at the Shallot art again, so just take a mental note of that Goku and Frieza card that we just looked at. This is just completely different. The style of this Shallot art, like, this definitely does look like something that could eventually become an actual card. This art right here. So is it possible that maybe they upgrade Shallot to Ultra from sparking and they give him new art, and maybe this could be part of the art? Maybe. It may be eventually going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen right now. Game Originals as a whole has kind of been on the back burner for a really, really long time. The only summonable Game Originals character we've gotten up until this point has been Goku and Bardock. That was during Legends Fest 2023. It's been how long is that? A year and a half ago. More than a year and a half ago now. So I don't really know what they're doing with that. Tani did kind of make like almost a tongue-in-cheek comment also during that first Legends information video, where he's like, we would really like to introduce a new, Game Originals character someday. Like, he said that. That was a comment he made. So I don't know. I think they might be working something up here. And right as the after party is set to commence, I think there could be something that lines up with the development in the story that probably will happen after we clear the Fierce Fights event, the raid event. So I think it's not off the table completely that we could actually eventually see an Ultra version of Shallot, right? He got upgraded to sparking 2 years ago. Ultra characters kind of are the most exciting part of the game at this point. Like, Ultra characters are always the best. They always are the most exciting. They always are the most hype for the most part. I mean, there's like some exceptions, like Super Saiyan 4 Daima Goku was an exception because he's a new character, but like Ultra Namek Goku, Ultra Frieza, Ultra Cell, Ultra Beast Gohan, like Majin Vegeta, all these Ultra characters are always just looked at and viewed as being a step above in terms of how exciting and how hype they are for the community. So to upgrade the main character of the game to Ultra, I think does make a lot of sense. And maybe to go alongside that, they do give him a new transformation to go into Super Saiyan 4. The last thing I do want to quickly talk about while we're talking about the main story here is, if we go back and take a look at this, I mentioned it earlier in this video, dude, look how long this is. This is insane. So the story currently has 17 parts, and each of these parts has many stages, which is the shortest one. The shortest part, dude, some of these are insane. Like, look at the earlier ones. The Frieza one, 728 challenges in here. Look at this. Look at this. Is there like there's not even like a scroll bar. Look at this. Just scrolls forever. This is one part. These are all stages. And then you have hard mode too. Like, dude. Yeah, this is it's a lot of stuff. The shortest one is probably one of the newer ones. 175. So this is the shortest one, but I mean, it's still got quite a lot. So the point is, there is a ton of stuff in the story for like newer returning players who aren't nearly caught up on the story. I don't really know how much longer they plan on continuing the current story in the story mode. So just to give like a brief summary of what happens, again, spoiler alert, don't want to get spoiled, click off. Zaha is kind of the mastermind behind the entire, the space-time tournament or whatever it's called, where he kind of brings together a lot of the Dragon Ball characters from different timelines into the same sort of like tournament, like open world tournament. It's like a battle royale. Literally, it's like a battle royale like tournament. It's like a Fortnite thing, where like all these characters are just like dropped into the world from different timelines. And essentially, it's Shallot reunites with his brother Giblet, and they work together to try and take down Zaha. And that's essentially what the story's been about for the past 17 parts. I mean, this is how many stages are in here? Like thousands? Like over 1,000 or like 2,000 stages total in the story mode. So they've been doing this for a long time. At what point do we get to an area where we kind of just want to move on to the next story? Right? I mean, I think they've actually done quite a good job with the story mode. If you criticize anything about this game, I think you must at least look at the story mode and the execution of the writing, the execution of the story mode as a positive aspect of this game, right? Maybe you're not a huge fan of PvP, maybe you just don't like the way the game plays, but the story mode has been done pretty well. It's been pretty well done, I think, the story mode. I haven't really been a big fan of a lot of the recent developments in the story mode because it just kind of feels at this point that it is dragging on. That really is why I'm talking about this. I think we are reaching a point in the story where they need to start figuring out a way to wrap up this arc here. And what I think they could do is, so we have parts, so part 1 through part 17, and then within each part we have books, and then within each books we have chapters. So we have part 17, book 5, chapter 1 is like this stage, right? So there's different classifications and sorting methods to figure out like which stage is which. I think what they could do is they could even add another layer to this. So all of these things, let's just say the current story wraps up with part 17. What they could do is they could take parts 1 through 17 and call that section 1. So we would have section 1, part 17, book 5, chapter 1 is this stage. And then what they could do is they could just start working on section 2, and that could be a completely different like storyline for Shallot. I don't think they would ever shy away from having Shallot be the main character of the story, because that's kind of the poster child of the game, is Shallot being the game original character. But at what point do you move on to the next arc? At what point do you move on to the next saga? And it's kind of the same thing that we see with every single storytelling medium ever, right? Especially anime, right? The Saiyan saga doesn't last for 500 episodes. The Frieza saga eventually ends. The Cell saga ends, right? All of these arcs start and all of these arcs end. So at some point, we are going to have to reach a point where we need to end this like Zaha arc, and another arc needs to start with a different storyline, a different villain. And that way we could get a lot of these characters that have not been represented in the story to be in the story, right? One of the beauties of this game is that they can really take, especially the story mode, is that they can take characters from every part of Dragon Ball, right? We have not seen UI Goku. We have not seen Jiren. We have not seen like Broly or well, Dragon Ball Super Broly. Actually, no. Well, we have seen Dragon Ball Super, but not like the max power Super Saiyan version. We have not seen Beast Gohan. We have not seen like any GT characters besides like Rildo. For some reason, like Rildo is in the story. We haven't seen Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Vegeta. I think we actually did see Sin Shenron and the Nova and Ice, I think, were in here. But yeah, there's a lot of characters that exist in Dragon Ball that they have not gotten into the story. And so maybe having the story go in a different direction for a continuation section or the next saga could be the best way to go about doing this. So I think we are kind of maybe reaching that point where they're going to start wrapping up the Zaha saga and moving on to whatever the next saga is going to be. But you guys can let me know what you feel, how you feel about that, and also how you feel about potentially Shallot maybe getting an upgrade to Ultra and then potentially a new form as well. So let me know what you think about that. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.